All right, man. How's the fitness?
Not bad, not great, but not bad. It's kind of right down the middle, Pat. But I'm happy to have that. Today was another lunchtime jujitsu extravaganza, so that was fun, and I got a lot of good rounds in. So no need for much on top of that. I think I might do a little stretch session, to be honest. I feel like I've just been a little more creaky than usual, and so I think I need to spend a little time just tending to the machine, as they say. So I might do that this afternoon.
You are one of the most annoyingly flexible people that, I worked with for a lot of time. And it just
Guilty.
as somebody who's not flexible, it just drove me crazy. Have you been, are you unique and special, or like everybody else, as Father Time has advanced and the years have gone by, is the range of motion decreasing? Or are you able to maintain what you had, back when I remember you stretching?
Well, it's pretty good. I'll still say like it's generally pretty good.
Better than
But
average.
there are certain positions that have definitely deteriorated over time since I haven't been working on them as much. And I'll tell you, most of them are weightlifting specific. Like my rack position used to be something that was really a point of pride, I would say. And now my rack position is not very good at all. So little things like that, but overall still pretty good. But I will say that I think sometimes if you have that kind of natural inclination, or I guess in my case, I put a lot of time into stretching early in life because that was in line with the goals I had physically at the time. So, from the age of probably, I don't know, 7 or 8 until I was 20, 22, 23, I did a lot of stretching. And because of that, now that I'm a little bit older, I tell you, man, I kind of rested on my laurels, if I'm honest. And it's built up some bad habits. And so now that I'm in my 40s, I start to get a little creaky sometimes. And I'm like, wait a minute, I guess I should probably be proactive here.
Oh
I should
yeah.
probably take my own advice and be a little
Yeah.
proactive. But
Yeah, my already
any
bad
rate.
flexibility is getting worse every day. Don't ever let it be said that I program what I like to do. What's on the docket for me today is literally, if I was to be sent to hell one day, I think this would come up a couple times. It's intervals. It's 3 intervals. You take 3 minutes rest between each one. One interval is 50 wall ball shots, 500-meter row. That's it. Just send it, rest 3 minutes, do it again, rest 3 minutes, do it a final time. And like my
That's,
literal nightmare in every
yeah,
in
that's
every realm.
nasty. The only thing worse than that would be doing the wall ball after the row, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I put it that way just so you couldn't sandbag the row.
Yeah.
Like you're like, anyway. But in other news, I've got the stuff all out in the kitchen. I'm making some homemade ice cream tonight, so that'll offset that.
There you go. Okay.
So here's the question, and I actually got the question from a new place compared to our usual deal. Somehow the algorithm on Reddit had this cross my path. So I don't know this person, but the author of this post, their name is Ryder Oft. Ryder, like RIDEROFT, Ryder Oft. So, and
Well,
the post
Pat,
was,
I have to commend you for braving the wilds of the internet.
oh,
It
dude.
can be a ruthless place.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This was under, I guess, like the main CrossFit Reddit, and this was entitled, Should I Change Box? So here we go. I've been going to this box that's right across the street for the past year. It's a very small box. Only 20 people are going there, and every class probably has 3 to 4 people. It feels like a close friend group. A married couple owns the box. The husband, who runs all the classes, is a decent guy, but his wife is pretty weird. Right from the beginning, she never talked to me, completely ignores me whenever I'm there, and if I'm working out outside in the parking lot and she goes to her car, she never says goodbye and doesn't even look at me. Every time I leave and say goodbye, she just stares at her phone and doesn't say a thing. She says hi to everyone else, though, who is her friend. It's pretty awkward because it's a small box. The other thing that I've noticed is that the owner always does barbecues at his house and invites other members in front of me, but never invites me. The barbecue thing doesn't bother me that much, but I do think it's rude to invite people in front of others if you don't plan on inviting them. The last thing, and this really bothers me, is that he doesn't allow you to train twice a day unless you are his friend. For example, there are workout, classes in the morning and weightlifting sessions in the evening. His friends are always welcome to train twice a day. One workout, one weightlifting, but everyone else is not allowed to. He says there is not enough space and it's unfair to the others if you want to book a spot. I've been considering going to a different box, but it's a small city and it might get awkward if they find out I'm going to a different gym, especially since theirs is literally right next to my house. So, recommendations. Now, the only thing I'll say to this is, and this is because I read the comments on this, because one of the first comments was, because this person, you don't know if it's male or female. So somebody was like, I'm going to say, since the wife ignores you, that you're an attractive female. And so this person, this person answered, just to be clear, I am not a female. I'm a guy, and so that might maybe help frame this. So
maybe he's an attractive guy.
Maybe he's an attractive guy. Yeah, you never know. She can't keep her eyes off of him. It's better to just ignore the guy completely than tempt fate.
That's right.
So the simple question is: should I change gyms or just deal with it, suck it up?
Well, it's a funny question, Pat. I think you say it correctly all the time. File this under fitness is easy, but people can be difficult. I have a lot of thoughts here. I have certainly been in a situation in the past where the convenience of the training allows me to overlook some of the less optimal things around that training.
Oh, okay.
And I believe that there is sometimes a decision to be made in that where you're like, hey, you know what? It's not perfect, but it's across the street from my house. The time investment to get there, get home, get on with my day is almost nothing. And that's worth it to me for a little bit of awkwardness. I could see you making that decision and saying, I'm just going to ride it out and it is what it is. And that's worth it to me because I cannot beat the fact that I can roll out of my house at 5:55 and still be on time for a 6 a.m. class, for example.
Yeah, that's
There's
fair.
a value to that. And some people, you have to decide how much value, but
that's fair.
There is a value to that. So I think it really comes down to how valuable is that convenience, because that does seem to be the winning factor for this gym. If the convenience is not the thing that is really keeping you there, then I think it's time to put on your adult pants and just have a conversation with one of two individuals.
Bingo.
The first conversation that seems to be the obvious one might be with the wife, or sit them down together if it's more comfortable and just say, hey, look, it just seems like there's some sort of friction here. I want to make sure it's not on my end or that I haven't done anything to offend or
oh man,
be off-putting, but let's get to the bottom of this. And if that's a conversation that's received poorly, well, then you have your answer right there. It might be time to move on. So that's conversation number one. Conversation number two is, hey, you know what? I just don't think it's working out here. I've had a great time. I really respect what you guys are doing here, but I want to try out a different facility. It's as simple as that. You are not beholden to anybody for this training.
Yeah, for sure.
And, again, if they are, I would say, a smaller, community-minded gym that truly doesn't look like they're trying to do like a mass membership type play here, they're going to want the best for the small group that they do have. And
one would hope.
Hopefully they would have the maturity to recognize that, okay, if you want to branch out and check out some other things, we wish you the best, But regardless, even if that isn't the case, I think one of those two conversations needs to happen. And so you can kind of pick your poison. If it's important for you to stay, you're going to have to talk to the wife or the husband and wife in tandem. If you think you've come to the end of the road with this facility, just let them know. Or don't.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's kind of where I sit.
Yeah, there's a couple of things there. And one thing that you said, it sparked a story from my personal life that I did recently of having, because if this person confronts the owners, which I think should be done, just for several reasons. But that, by its very nature, is an uncomfortable conversation. It's going to be.
Yeah.
And if this post that I found on Reddit is not misleading, it is what it is. That's true. Then the reaction of the owners when presented with facts is going to be very revealing as to whether you should stay or go. That will tell you everything that you need. There's another shoe that could drop in this if we're exploring all the options, Adrian. Well, look, we're sifting through the ashes for signs of arson,
Yeah.
There's the potential that this guy's the problem.
Sure.
I don't know.
Sure.
I don't mean to insult Ryder off, whoever he is, but that's one of the possibilities. But the most charitable view is that you're a cool dude. You're not doing anything wrong. It's not you, it's them, and I'll stick with that. But if we're exploring all the options, it could we got to check that out. So assuming that the data presented is accurate, I agree. I would have a conversation with the owners. I would try to make it as neutral and emotionless and fact-based as possible. And like I said, I have recently, I don't want to go down a tangent here, my neighbor has a dog that barks as if it's caught in a bear trap. I mean, I own a dog. You own a dog. Dogs bark. I get it. You got 3 of them. Okay, I get it. Hey, the dog sees a squirrel. The dog, I get it. It happens. But there's a difference between that and a sustained, continuous bark that literally goes on for 90 minutes nonstop. That's an entirely different deal than you saw a squirrel. Okay.
Sure.
And so, after me enduring this, not for a day or a week or a month, for a prolonged period of time, I was like, I can't believe it. I don't know if everyone in the family is hard of hearing but this is, I went and I had the awkward conversation. Instead of writing an anonymous letter to the homeowners association, instead of posting on the community Facebook group, I did an old school 1985, do the right thing, knock on the door and say, hello, neighbor, here's my awkward conversation that we're going to have. And the person that I had the conversation with was north of 50 years old, so you would hope that there was maturity there. And after I presented the individual with what I was seeing, I had the door closed in my face.
Wow. Yeah.
And that was very telling and revealing about some people, when presented with something that they don't want to hear and it's awkward and uncomfortable, even when it was presented, I would have been okay with that, this being broadcast live on, it was polite, and that's what I was met with. And that told me everything that I need to know about my neighbor and whether or not the dog's going to get taken care of. It's not going to get taken care of. So now, if we lived in the Wild West, I'd have more options. I don't. We live in a we live in a civilized society, and I have to operate within the confines of a civilized society. So if this individual goes and talks to these owners, I have a strong feeling that how that conversation is received by them will tell you everything you need to know as to whether or not that gym will continue to be your home, or you should run for the hills, and it doesn't matter that they live right next door to you.
Now, I do like your story, and it's fun to play devil's advocate to it just a little bit.
Please do.
I would say that your neighbor isn't really incentivized at all to bend to your concern. Whereas, hopefully, the business owner is a little more incentivized to say,
I hope
this isn't something that I had considered or I wasn't aware of, and I'd like to maintain your business. You're an asset to our group of people here, and
I hope so.
Thanks for bringing this to my attention. That's a possible answer.
It's
also possible that they take the other approach and push the door closed the proverbial door closed in your face. And like you said, I agree with you. I think that's going to be very telling.
I also think, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I really think the first step is that this person, Ryder Oft, needs to get clear with what they really want to do. It sounds like, if it's my honest opinion on it, it sounds like they've got one foot out the door. And so if that's the case, then you should just be comfortable with your own decision to do that. Again, you don't owe anybody anything, especially if it's a business relationship. I mean, you can be cordial about it, and you can say, hey, I had a great time training here. I really appreciate the time that I did, but I'd like to check out a different gym. I mean, there's no harm in that, and you certainly don't owe people that. Now, I understand it's not just that easy to turn off the personal connection. particularly in an environment like a CrossFit gym where the bonds are tight. And I'm sure that there's relationships with members that you'd like to maintain and all of that. But all the more reason that if you decide to step away, I think it can be done in a respectful, easy way that allows the door to be open should you take a look around town and you train at some other facilities and you reach the conclusion, you're like, you know what, actually, with some time away, this is a better place to train and I can get past some of these foibles, and you come back, there's a possibility there too. So I would say if you can, muster up a couple of those points that you want to discuss, maybe it is that you do want to step away, do that in a way that doesn't close the door for your return. And at the end of it, I bet you it's not going to be as big of a deal as you might make it out to be in your mind. That would be my hope anyway.
Here's my other answer I'll just give to this question. Should you change gyms? Yes. That's what my gut feeling says. My gut feeling says yes, that you should. I also think that you vote with your dollars, and that matters. And so if you take your money somewhere else, that is impactful to them, especially if you have the conversation. And again, maybe you have the conversation, which I really think that you should, and there's an epiphany and an enlightenment and a warm embrace, and the wife is so apologetic, and all of a sudden they're like, barbecue's happening tonight, get your buns over here. Hey, I hope that happens. The cynical New Englander in me thinks it's very unlikely, because also just what was written there in the post, there were some other things that are like, that seem to be not just affecting this individual, but others. So for example, some people can train twice a day, some people can't. So some people are getting special privileges, some people can't. And some people get the invite to the barbecue, some people don't. And I think this is another interesting thing, which is there's so many elements to running a gym and managing a community, right? There's from the space, the coaching, the programming, the community interaction, your part-time therapist, your part-time coach. Like there's so much stuff going in there, but you are, in my humble opinion, and this is just my opinion, if you are that person or that owner or pair of owners that is the owner of this facility, like you drive the culture, you drive the values, you drive how people conduct themselves. People are going to also be a mirror of how you act because they're looking to you as the name and face of the gym. And there's a difference between being an owner and being a leader. And I think those two, you could be an owner and a terrible leader. So what I mean by that is, okay, you're an owner, you're on the gym, you're on the affiliate licensing agreement, whatever. But leaders of communities don't give themselves special privileges that they don't extend to other members of the community. That creates division. That does not create unity. And I've seen this happen. People who shall remain nameless. I remember having a conversation with a gym owner a couple of years ago, and they just didn't understand why people at their gym were upset, and they were talking to me about it, and I had to side with the members of the community. This owner was like, she was like, look, I don't know what the problem is. Like, I have these certain rules that I tell my gym they can't do, and I can't remember what it was, whether it's dropping an empty barbell, or you have to always have on footwear, you can't walk around barefoot, like whatever it was little stuff, but she didn't abide by those, and her rationale to me was like, well, I'm the owner, I can do whatever I want, I'm the owner. They have rules, but I'm the owner. And I was like, ooh, that's not going to go well. And so it sounds to me like a little bit of that is happening at this gym, where the owners were like running fast and loose with whatever they wanted. Some things apply to some people, but they don't apply to other people. And maybe that's solved with the conversation. Maybe it's not, but I'm skeptical.
Yeah, I mean, I think it could also be a case of, people, I think it's easy to take a look at a coach, especially a competent coach, and kind of extend some grace to a skill set outside of coaching that they may not have. So in this case, managing a group of people and the needs that they all have outside of the direct class interaction, that's its own skill set that maybe is less developed with this owner. I mean, that sounds like it's possible in this circumstance. And so I guess my read on this, and this is pure speculation, is that we've got an owner who, started small, has remained small, wants to keep that community feel, But maybe even within that, the group of people that are now part of this gym has extended beyond what they thought it would be, and therefore what they can manage with kind of rules for everybody applying across the board. And that can creep in over time if it's not really something you're considering. So maybe it is time that it needs to be brought to this person's attention. And like you said, in the best case, they recognize this is something that's a shortcoming and ultimately holding their business back because it clearly is affecting at least one member. And if it's affecting one, it's likely there's probably other people that have a similar take on it, whether they vocalize it or not. And so, therefore, hopefully it would lead to that kind of reflection to say, okay, maybe this isn't optimal anymore. Even if it was best intentions early on, hey, we're going to run a small casual gym. We're just going to have people kind of, ad hoc with rules because it's only 5 or 10 people that we know anyway. But at a certain point, that no longer works. And sometimes it's hard to recognize when you've crossed that threshold because you're in the driver's seat teaching classes and paying the bills and doing all the other things all day. So, that's, I guess, my charitable view on that.
I like it's charitable. It's just, I think we've covered both sides pretty well. But, I guess also this situation sounds like it's a bit, he says it's stressful and awkward is the phrase used, I guess. Walking into the gym, your gym should cause you stress because the workout of the day is death by dumbbell thrusters. Yes. It should not cause you stress because of the ambiance with the other people.
It should be actually the opposite. The whole merit behind, there's many, many good things that you can talk about, in this affiliate model. But one of the biggest pluses is that the people there should motivate you to be there more often than you would train on your own. That's part of the point, is that you're like, it's going to be awful. Like you said, you're like, dude, I know it's dumbbell thrusters today. It's like my least favorite movement, but Pat's going to be there and I haven't seen him in a couple days and we're going to, talk some smack and catch up a little bit afterwards and it's going to be great. Like that's going to be the thing that helps to ease the transition a little bit. So if that's working against you actively, I'm like, man, that's such a big strike against what is supposed to be one of the big pluses. So take that for what it's worth.
Agreed. I think that's all my advice for this individual. I wish them the best.
Yeah, I do too. And it sounds like in your heart, it sounds like you're ready to move on. So why not just try that out and see what happens?
Well, if somebody knows or how to do it, maybe once this episode gets posted, somebody can share a link, or maybe I can try to find this and I'll share the link there. Maybe the actual author of the post will see that. I'd be very curious if they could leave a comment. Yeah. Find this show in the btwb YouTube channel and what was the decision that was made? Was this helpful in any way, shape, or form?
And how to play out,
Yeah, how to play out. And I'm sure other people have been in this situation. If somebody listening or watching has been in the situation where you've contemplated the question, should I leave my gym? Should I switch gyms? What brought you to even have that thought enter your mind? And then what was the course of action that you took? I'd be really curious to hear that down there in the comments as well. And then, do you have a homemade ice cream flavor that I should make and share as to what it was? I'll let you know.
I do, but it's not going to be popular, Pat. I don't know if we've talked about this or not.
Does it involve like licorice or something?
Indeed it does. Am I that predictable? So when I was a kid...
1 pint sold.
When I was a kid, my dad and I used to go out for Tiger ice cream all the time.
What is that?
It was great. And it was my favorite flavor. It was orange sherbet.
Okay.
And then with a licorice swirl in the middle, so it made the tiger stripe.
That's actually really cool.
It was the best. I loved it. So that's my vote. But like I said, in the court of popular opinion, I'm sure it's not going to be high on the list. But that's okay.
No, I'd never heard of that. It's a fun pastime. So I'm going to look that up. My middle son just had his 13th birthday recently, so I made some homemade ice cream for that. I made a vanilla ice cream that in it, I chopped up some fudge brownies, some M&Ms, and then swirled some peanut butter through it.
Dang,
and it was really good. My wife, I'm making a pint for her to have this weekend, and her request was vanilla ice cream with marshmallows and chocolate chips, rather simple or whatnot. But the Tiger, was it Tiger Stripe?
It's just Tiger. There was always
Tiger
just
ice cream.
called Tiger. Yep,
Oh,
Tiger
that
flavored
sounds
Tiger ice
intriguing.
cream.
I'm gonna look into that. Okay, all right, very cool. But
Yeah, let me know how that goes.
yeah, I will. Well, as we always say, everybody, forgot at the beginning of the show. Hey,
It's okay.
Help support the show, everybody. If you own a gym, you got to handle all the the stuff you need to take care of: workout tracking, gym management, billing. Go to btwb.com. They've got an all-in-one solution for all of that, and just poof, your life will be better. And then if you want to check out some of the programs we offer through Varied Not Random, get your first strict pull-up. There's handstand walking. There's muscle ups. There's all kinds of cool stuff. There's running programs, on-ramp. So check those things out as well. And other than that, thanks everybody. For Adrian Bosman, I'm Pat Sherwood, and we'll see you next time.